Hey guys, I want to talk about the big God, 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 the master of the universe, the Holy Lord, the one that created everything. When they say in the Bible God is love, that is a correct definition. God is universal, unconditional love. God is all powerful. God is all knowing. God is all loving. And God is everywhere and anything from the beginning of time. And God is eternal. And God unconditionally loves every single soul on this plane and on every single frequency of whatever this universe contains of in every moment. It's impossible to be disconnected from God, but it's definitely possible to feel disconnected from God. So look at that paradox. It's impossible to actually be disconnected from the one because everything is a fractal of the one, but you can certainly, with the human experience on Earth School, feel disconnected to God. And God isn't just a logical thought of unconditional love. God is a feeling of unconditional love that is pouring the plane right now 24/7 inside every soul, what we call the divine spark. And God is watching, not judging, and hoping, because God has human emotions too. God hopes the best for his children, but he never stops loving his children. He never stops loving, but he hopes that his children won't be too naughty. But in this human earth school, God understands that it's very hard, and there's a lot of trauma and suffering here, and trauma passed down. So God feels sad when we fall on our ways, but He doesn't stop ever loving us. That unconditional love of God is best represented in human form. The easiest access God created for humans in the suffering earth school to unconditional love so that humans can feel it is through having a baby and a child of your own. Why? Because just as how can all loving God not unconditionally love his children for he made them? How can a father or a mum not unconditionally love their children? This is where humans get to practice unconditional love, I think, in the easiest form. We're always practicing unconditional love, right? We're always trying our best to heal trauma and access states of unconditional love. We do that with friends that we choose in this life or friends we grow up with together. We try and practice unconditional love in relationships with our partners. We try not to idealize too much and get disappointed, although we all project. But the easiest access God has given us to the feelings of the heart of unconditional love is the moment when you give birth to your baby for the mum and dad. And then, depending on the trauma of mum and dad, that unconditional love can even turn into conditional love and control. And control is controlling your children and their life, is the opposite of love. And humans tend to fall away from God and feel separation through control when we should be surrendering to God and healing our trauma because God is the one in control. God does not control, God gives us free will. The free will of God. And God gives us the gift of having children and the practice from a baby to an adult of trying your best to unconditionally love. I think most parents would say they unconditionally love their babies and children because it's such a cute thing and it's so needy for you and it's so in itself the child and baby is a representation, a God representation in pure form of unconditional love reflected back to you as a parent, and you made that baby just as God made all of us. How fucking cool. And then the challenge is, as the ego starts kicking in and the baby loses consciousness from unconditional love to the egoic world, a world of words, thoughts, and school and knowledge, and moves away from the heart into the head. The challenge is not to control your children, and the levels of control can be very extreme here. To actually very conscious spiritual parents who, of course, I'm not saying when I say not to control your kids, I don't mean not have boundaries and care about their safety. But there's a fine line between safety and giving kids boundaries and turning into control, whether that's physically abusing your children as they grow older, or emotionally abusing them because they're not because you want a certain outcome from them in life. You want them to make a certain amount of money. You want them to be a certain thing, controlling the outcome of your children. God is unconditional love, and God loves you. Through the practice of children, we can best access unconditional love. Of course, relationships here is our divine reflections to practice unconditional love and not to control them too. Our friends too. This life ain't easy, but know this: there is not one moment where God doesn't love you. Peace.